G'day legends. On today's video, we've got something a little bit different. We are meeting the maker of one of my favorite pedal brands, Crazy Tube Circuits. Please welcome Christos to the show. Christos, how are you, man?
I'm good. How about you, Leon?
Not too bad. Middle of winter here, which means it's the middle of summer for you. So I want to know, how do you get any work done when you're living in, a beautiful place like Athens?
It's not always easy, to be honest. Your mind could be traveling to a nearby beach and want to swim and do stuff like that. But sometimes you have to work on pedals, you have to work on amps. So it's two things that you love, and you fight, and they fight between each other. Which one wins?
What I want to know first is, how did you get started making pedals, especially making them in Greece, which I'm sure you hear every time. A lot of people say, I didn't expect, there to be such a pedal scene. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well, because there's a couple of other, there's some people doing some really great work there. But specifically for you, how did you get started, and why pedals?
Okay, it was like 20 years ago, almost 20, could be a bit more. I was playing in a small band, and I didn't have the money to buy lots of pedals. So I asked a friend to show me how to do the soldering and stuff, and try to build my first pedal. And I failed for the first 2 times. The third time is a charm. And it worked. It was a treble booster, because I always liked the sound of Brian May, Tony Iommi, and similar stuff. Rory Gallagher, and I loved treble boosters, so I wanted to have that sound. I built quite a few treble boosters, then a tube screamer, fast face, blah blah blah, or the standard clones that someone will begin when he begins building pedals. It's the standard pedals that he will build. So then I said, okay, I like it very much. Let's see what really happens inside. I tried to study what is actually happening with all the transistors, why that sounds that way and stuff. And I really love tubes. I started collecting tubes, and I started collecting Yule stock tubes, especially preamp Yule stock tubes. So and then I built for a friend and a friend of a friend, and then I said, okay, this is what I really want to do. And then this is how the Crazy Tube Circuits story began.
Has your development process for new pedals changed that much from back then, where you were essentially just making things for yourselves and your friends? Is that always the first inspiration?
Okay, so it has to be an idea. It has to be something that inspires me, a sound that I like, or something that I feel it does not already exist out there. Like you said, I tend to collect some amps, so it could be an amp that I love its sound. I want to have it in a box. I know it cannot be 100% accurate. It's not, it's physics. You cannot put the sound of an actual amp pushing a 4x12 cabinet in a guitar pedal. You cannot do that. But if you get as close as possible with the feel and the EQ and the drive of that sound, I'm happy. And I try to make other people that buy Crazy Tube happy as well.
Yeah, it shows. I think the first pedal I tried, like I'm sure a lot of people, was a Black Magic. And for myself growing up, it was, you had electro harmonics and Boss. That was kind of it. That's what you had access to. And I remember the first time I played a Boss DS1, the Orange Distortion. I was so excited because I read about how all my guitar heroes used it. And it didn't really sound like that. Now, I didn't know what I was doing, but it's it's like a small element, a small ingredient in the rest of that chain. And I think from that point on, for me, I was a bit jaded about distortion boxes, that they have this sound and they're not very amp-like. And trying the Black Magic was one of those things where no matter where I set it, it didn't sound like a pedal. It just sounded big and thick, and it responded nicely. And that was something for me, which was like, oh, this is actually good. You know, it's not just a bunch of marketing hype and things like that. The amp in a box style thing, that's really cool to hear for me, where you've got the big amp collection and you're actually, you know, you're not just you're not just taking a schematic and figuring out how to do it with, you know, MOSFETs and transistors and stuff like that. You're actually referencing real amps that you love the sound of, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it's funny that you mentioned. I mean, I think the first pedal that I ever tried as well was the Boss TS1, and I also thought it was. I tried it to a 15 watt transistor amp with a crappy speaker, and I said it doesn't sound that good. I don't like it. I mean, how come? I've seen so many people trying out and it sounded gorgeous, but it doesn't sound as good. It must be me. I mean, I don't know. Uh, but then I understood that if you tried with a proper guitar amp and speaker, with a specific settings and stuff, it would sound really nice. And another fun fact, Black Magic was inspired after my first ever design that I also posted on do-it-yourself forums. It was back
Oh,
in
cool.
2005. So I called it Dr. Boogie, obviously because it's inspired by Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Uh, but the thing is that when you mentioned that it's tough to work when you're living in Athens, I remember that I designed it at summer 2005, if I'm not mistaken, and I was in between. My family has a country house which is nearby the sea. It's like 5 kilometers from the sea. So during the day, I was spending the day on the beach, and late in the afternoon or late at night, I was back in home and designing that very first design that I did. It was Dr. Boogie and then became Black Magic. Um I'm really proud of it. I mean, it's a really old design. It's not in production. It's like 20 years ago, but I really loved it as well. I mean, maybe I'm thinking it could be a V3 at some point because I really love the sound.
You've got things like the Crossfire, which is like a Tube Screamer and Fender style amp, or the Heat Seeker, which is the Marshall with the Compander wireless thing that Angus uses. Like, to me, such a cool idea, because that 14-year-old kid that wanted to sound like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai got a Boss DS1, but I didn't know what the rest of the picture was. Whereas with this, you can go like, hey, if you like, or the Unobtainium, which is great, because like if you like the Dumble thing, you probably like the Clom thing as well, and they work really well together. So why not have it in one pedal? Or the High Power, which I think is like amazing. Basically, it's David Gilmour in a box, right? All these classic, difficult to obtain and often really expensive things if you wanted to go and buy them, having them in one. What was the original, like where did the original idea for those come from? Because I think Crossfire was the first one you did.
Exactly. Crossfire was the first one. I don't know. To be honest, Crossfire was like 2021. So usually pedal needs like a year or so from the moment that it's an idea until it becomes an actual product. Could be more. I mean, could be 2 years or more. But I remember when I really thought that I have to combine those two. The thing is that the left side, the Fender amp in a box side, I actually found a prototype that I did in 2007 of a Fender amp in a box, and I found it in a stash of prototypes and stuff. And I said, "Oh yikes! It sounds really nice. Why didn't that ever make it in being an actual pedal?" And I said, "Okay, what would you use with a Fender amp, a Tube Screamer? I mean, Fender tend to be mid-scooped. Tube Screamer boost the mids. Stevie Ray Vaughan is well known for using that combo. I mean, among others, not only Stevie Ray Vaughan, obviously. And then I said, okay, it has to become a combo. And I believe this is how that happened. When people think of crazy tubes, they think those two dual amp or dual overdrive pedals. So I think it worked. But to be honest, it's nice for me as well because I have to constantly find new ideas and things to combine for the next pedal. So I gave a promise to myself. I cannot always fulfill that. That when I have an idea for an amp in a box or something that is based on a clone, let's say a clone that would be based on another piece of gear, I would probably get to buy the actual gear or amp or pedal or whatever. Like I said, it's not always the case. For example, for the Unobtainium, I don't own any Dumble amp. So I've tried lots
Understandable.
of I've tried lots of clones, but I don't own one. But I had to source an actual clone pedal for the high power. I had to have high watt and color sound power booster. So all the combos that I'm producing as a crazy tube circuits and a dual drive pedals, I want to actually have that piece of gear. And the idea behind it is that I have to spend some time and find what the combo in real life, how do these things work together.
Mm.
So like I said, it cannot be 100% accurate when you put it in a box, but you have to put the feel and the vibe of that combination when you design a pedal.
And with following on from that, I think the thing I appreciate the most about your designs are you'll use say a classic circuit as a starting point, but then there's always a few extra things you add on and it feels like as somebody who has spent a lot of time playing pedals and spent a lot of money and gone through a lot of heartache with things like that, just the value add of being able to have something that can hit, it can do a color sound power booster, but it can like go beyond it. You're sort of expanding upon the original designs. How much of that is, let me phrase this the right way, how much of that comes from what you were just describing, where you're actually using the real gear and realizing that there's limitations? I guess like an engineer's brain where you go, I can push that where it hasn't been pushed. And how much of it is sometimes just, I don't know, going in and going, I wish it could do this, like I need to find a solution now so that it can also. So what I'm saying is like realizing that there's maybe untapped potential in a pedal that already exists, and then something where it's more like you're forcing your will on a design and you're coming up with something outside of the box, like a cool solution, if that makes sense.
Well, I know that there are so many great clones out there. I mean, one-on-one fast phase or color sound power booster, they're great clones. I mean, I own some of them, I've tried some of them, and I try not to put just another clone of a Tube Screamer or a fast phase. I mean, it doesn't work for me. So I try to fit as many as possible options. I mean, options that do matter, things that do matter and make a difference. I mean, sound wise. So if I can fit 4 boost circuits in one box, like the superconductor, I will do it. I just don't need just another Ecoplex preamp clone. There are so many great EP booster, so many pedals that sound great. So I wanted to have another option if possible. If it fits and I can make it sound right, I will try to do it.
What's been the most challenging one of those to make it fit?
Okay, that's really nice question. I mean, in some designs, I can think of few like Venus, Sidekick Jr, and the latest release Triptychon. It's really hard to fit so many things inside. I mean, it could be a triple board, like a sandwich, and you have to take care that some things are not close to each other, the orientation of stuff. So it might take actually more time to do a revision, a new revision of the circuit board and another revision of the circuit board so that it works great, rather than thinking of the original idea or making the prototype in a board, in a demo board.
And the other thing that I was made aware of by someone else who's in manufacturing, obviously, is there's a big difference between making some pedals for yourself and your friends and putting things wherever you want them, and then having to meet compliance standards when you sell a product and have to sell it across, I mean, the entire planet and meet all of those. So what I'm really curious about, and I mean, there's clearly something in the water in your part of the world when it comes to like the guitar tone scene, because like it's like everybody. What I found, and I've ran into, I have a few friends whose families are Greek, and then some people I ran into recently from Greece, and I was like, what's the deal? Like everyone loves cranked up Marshalls, and they love Pink Floyd, and they love Toto. There's just like a universal thing. Is that is that just my misconception with it, or is this just sort of there's a strong scene with other enthusiasts and bands and things like that? And I guess are you friendly and cordial with some of these other people who are based there, who make some of these products, some of the other brands?
You mean pedals? Yeah. I mean, it's a small country, so I probably am familiar and know most of the guys that build pedals from Greece, coming out from Greece.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, I mean, in Greece, the folk music, it's way different than rock stuff. So not everybody listens to rock music or hard rock or metal, but if you do, yes, you will like cranked Marshalls and Toro and stuff. Yeah, you will like it. You will love it, actually. So like I said, it's a small country. It's a trend. I mean, the like 4 or 5 that I can think of guitar pedal brands that we get to meet in guitar shows like the NAMM show or Guitar Summit. And besides that, we make a meeting also in Athens for the guys that are based in Athens. Otherwise, we're going to meet at the guitar show. So like I said, I think it's more like a friendly vibe that it's happening in the guitar pedal business.
I'm really curious about your manufacturing process. Are you doing everything in-house?
Well, almost everything, I would say. So the design of the printed circuit board is in-house, the design. We don't print them, so we use a factory that prints them, and but we populate them inside the workshop. So the workshop is in Vironas in Athens, is a suburb of Athens. So in there, we're like 8 people building pedals all the time, populating boards, doing everything by hand. I mean, besides, of course, printing the PCBs. We don't powder coat the enclosures. We use a company nearby to powder coat the enclosures, and we don't print them inside them. I mean, the UV printing that you see on the enclosures is also done by another company located in Athens. But I mean, all the drilling, like I said, all the PCB population, all the testing, all that stuff, it's happening inside our workshop.
I'm always so curious about that. And you said, so there's 8 of you total. Is that that's the whole team?
That's the whole team. I mean, that's a whole team building pedals, designing and building pedals.
I kind of feel like that's an underappreciated aspect of the whole industry, where, you know, a pedal feels like such a discrete, small, personal thing. You know, you buy it, you put it on your pedal board, and you know, I still get so excited when I try a new pedal. I'm like, oh, cool, a new compressor. Like, what's it going to be like, and how's it going to work with all my other gear? You know, it immediately feels like it feels really personal and individualized. But then you kind of think of it and go, hang on, how does this come into be from someone's from someone's brain going, oh, it'd be cool if I had, these two circuits in one, and then you're doing all the design. And what, I guess my next question is like your primary role at the moment, is it mostly focused on the design aspect, or are you also in there every day drilling and populating boards with everyone else?
I mostly focus on the design aspect, to be honest. Prototype
Yep.
testing, and then I have to also be in touch with dealers, distributors, influencers, and most of the stuff. But to be honest, my main focus is prototyping and designing for the next pedal idea.
What's your favorite part of that process and your least favorite part of it?
I'm also bad at promotion, probably self promotion. I'm really bad at it. So I don't think that I don't like communicating with some people. I mean, like you, especially like you, people that are happy and always eager to discuss new things. I mean, about bells and stuff. I could be sometimes the necessary evil thing to do could be to send to, I don't know, a couple emails, I would say, or do some of the tax stuff, et cetera, invoicing and stuff. Probably I would say invoicing
Yep.
and tax stuff. Uh, but
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
really fun stuff.
yes, that's the really fun stuff. But I guess, I mean, sometimes you win something, you lose something, but I guess I always love when I do the prototyping. So I really, I mean, uh, when it's when it's a tough day, I can find myself getting my laptop and design a PCB. And I mean, I get people asking. It seems weird. I mean, with all the traces going around, I mean, how can you find where each one goes? And I mean, it's like it's like heaven for me. I mean, it's super nice. I can really get lost inside it for hours, and I love it.
That's cool. I think the one thing, I was having this discussion with someone recently where that feeling of just where sort of time melts away, where you get in a flow state with one of your passions or hobbies. I think I initially fell in love with music for that reason, where I could put an album on or I could play guitar and just totally lose myself in it. And I still chase that feeling. I think a lot of people are chasing that feeling. But I get that a lot with cooking. That's the only other thing I can think of when I'm just like, I'm almost not in my body. I'm just sort of like having some fun with it. I know I'm going to get to eat something at the end. It's like it is its own reward. So that sort of makes sense where sometimes, like, but how do you know? I guess you said you've been doing this for over 20 years now. You'd have that intuition with a circuit and, you know, when something's going to work, when it's not going to work, how you could optimize something. It actually sounds really, really fun.
I mean, like you said, I mean, when you get lost in something, you know that you love it. When you don't check the whole time your watch and you don't care about what time is it or if it's early hours or whatever, you know that you love this thing and that you want to do it all the time. I mean,
Do you have other hobbies outside of doing that, or is that how you get your fix as well? You run the business, but also the design part is sort of like it's still a big hobby.
it's still a big hobby. I mean, when I say that I will not work for Crazy Tubes, I mean I will not do emails or prototyping or whatever. I might be online checking about other gear. I might be studying electronics or reading an article about it. I mean, it's still my hobby. It still feels my hobby.
Cool. What has changed the most since you started building pedals? I guess the one thing I can think of in the industry at large is the move away from like the miniaturization of components, right? Was obviously a big step where a lot of manufacturers have moved to that. Can you think of anything else that's like what's made your life easier over the last 10, 15 years of making pedals? Is it software? Is it outsourcing like your manufacturing and things like that for your powder coating and screen printing? Like what tools do you rely on now that just simply weren't available then?
Okay, I guess, I mean, when I began building pedals, the internet already existed. I guess if you started building, if you wanted to build a guitar pedal in the 80s or 90s, you would have to look through a magazine or buy a book with schematics or go to electronic school. I mean, the internet has helped a lot in order to find solutions that we cannot find. I mean, it could be for the past few years. I mean, it could be less for a year or a year and a half. I will say it. I've tried AI, I mean, in order to help in some coding and stuff. I mean, before that, I was afraid and I didn't want to use it. And I was like, no, I will not, I will never
Yep.
use AI. But then I said, the first day that I tried, and I had a small issue with a code. By the way, I'm not a great coder, so I have a friend that helps with coding when something is really tough. But he wasn't available at that point, and I needed to do it fast. So I said, okay, let's check AI, and it really helped. So there are many tools besides for AI for the past few years that have helped the pedal business evolve. I mean, of course, like you said, the SMT production. I mean, having the tiny transistors or resistors and making it fit as many as possible inside the printed circuit board also helped. But I mean, that's a bit old technology. Having so many options, I mean, in order to buy parts from everywhere around the world. I mean, I cannot think that I would be able to build pedals if I wasn't able to buy parts from all over the world. I mean, if I was to buy parts only, the only parts available in Greece, I could only build like 1/5 or maybe less of the products that I do build now.
I think of something like the Sidekick pedal that you do, where it's basically what I'd refer to as like a grease box. You have modulation and reverb and delay in the same pedal, but it's like this big, right? So you can put it on any pedal board and you're not sacrificing a lot of space. With, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the reverb in that's the digital part of it and the other two are analog, or is it digital reverb and delay? Or is the whole thing digital?
Everything is digital. I mean, the wet
Cool.
sounds are digital. The effects are
Yeah,
digital.
yeah.
You mean for the Sidekick Junior, right? Not the senior, the
Yeah.
junior
Oh,
one.
yeah. The Sidekick Jr. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. So the junior
That's
one,
correct.
the effects are all digital. The dry sound is analog, but the effects are all digital. The filtering, buffering, mixing is also happening in the analog world, but the effects,
Yep.
solely the effects, are digital.
I'm really curious about you mentioned the mixing and input stages and things like that. Do you use designs is that something that's pretty much a standard design across your range? Because I think one thing I notice, especially with some of the pedals you make, is like they do the classic thing where if you just turn them on and almost set them really neutral, like if it's say something like the superconductor, if you're using like the treble boost part of it, you can set it up so it almost doesn't change your sound, but when you turn it off, you miss it. There's really high, it feels like everything's got really high quality, input and output stages on there. How long, I mean, is that an ongoing process where you're always improving that part of, I guess you could call it the generic part of the pedal, the thing that maybe people don't notice? Is that an ongoing process with every pedal you make?
Yes, I mean, the whole mixing and buffering stages and the preamps is something that I really take care of because uh, most people, like you said, might not actually care at first time when they try a pedal, and the first thing that they check is the effect. But when you use it in a mix, in a band, or if you get used to the actual effect that this pedal does, you tend to also understand what's happening on the preamp, the EQ section and stuff. So I try to have lots of headroom uh, to be as transparent as possible. Sometimes not. I mean, if you want to have some specific color, I will also do that. So, like I said, I really love my preamps, so I want them to sound really, really good, even if they're flat as possible, even if they're designed to be neutral as possible. It cannot be 100%, but that feel, that small touch, it's like you like cooking when you're adding that extra pinch of salt. it will make
Yeah.
a lot of difference.
So tell me a little bit about your amp collection, right? Because that's where the crazy tube part of it comes from, collecting tubes, collecting amps. I'm just really curious, like, tell me about some of your favorite stuff. I can imagine what's in there, but like specific, you can totally nerd out. If you had to, say, pick 4 or 5 amps from your collection, what are the ones that just, when you look at, because, I have certain amps where I look at it, I go, I need to plug that thing in right now. It's just too cool.
Okay, I have to make a disclaimer first. You are responsible for a few of them, for owning a few of them.
Oh, no.
So yeah. So watching your videos, especially on the Mesa Boogie Mark IV and a couple of Marshalls, it's the thing that I said, okay, I have to buy one. I have to get one. So the first thing that I tried is to own all the classics. So
That's
classic
cool.
Fender units, classic Marshall units, Orange units, high watts, Vox. So I tried to have the classic ones. And then whenever I have the option and opportunity, I get some of the boutique ones. So
I think that's a
I
good
have,
approach.
yeah. I mean, some are refined clones. So I would say, for example, one of my favorite amps is the divided by 13 BTR23 and
Oh, nice.
SJT 1020. That is like a refined deluxe reverb. So it sounds like a deluxe reverb, but as it would be recorded and already mastered and ready to be coming out from your
Nice.
speakers. So it's really, really nice. Um what else? I mean, I would probably say that one of that it's not a usual one. It's the Marshall. Do you remember the Marshall series that they did of boutique like a few years ago? I can't remember the name.
Yeah, they had the Astoria series,
The Astoria,
and
yeah, the Astoria,
there was another. Yeah.
the
How do you
Astoria.
like that? Because I've always been really curious about those.
The green one is really, really nice. I mean, it doesn't have lots of drive, but it's really, really nice.
I remember when they came out, and I was kind of curious about them, but I've never had the chance to play one.
Yeah, it's really nice. The Astoria is really nice. What else? I mean, like I said, a couple Dr. Z's.
Oh yeah, very
Uh,
nice.
I love my Vox AC50s. I actually have two of those AC50 heads, one from the mid 60s and one from the mid 70s. Uh, like three orange amps. One is an original OR 120 from the 70s that I really, really love it.
Oh
But I
yeah.
mean, without an attenuator, you cannot be standing like 3 or 4 meters close to that. So it's really loud. What else? What else? I
I
mean,
can
I'm trying.
imagine.
I'm trying. I have a list on my cell with all the amps. I know I'm a geek. I know. So I'm trying to find which ones are my top favorites. So I cannot actually just pick one or two.
If you're going to build a pedal board to go into a rock gig, you can only use Crazy Tube Circuits pedals, and you can have maybe 4 or 5. What's going straight on the
Okay.
board for what you like?
Okay. Okay. Like you said, it's a really tough question. Uh, to be honest, when I have time to be at the workshops demo room with the amps and the pedals, the demo pedal boards, I usually tend to look for the unobtainium. Maybe both sides engaged at some point if I want the extra drive. I mean, the amp has to
Yep.
be semi clean so you can get it clean when you roll the volume down. So I would probably reach out for the unobtainium, a delay, and maybe an extra boost. Those are, I would say, okay, if I'm in a big venue, I would probably will not need a reverb, but if I have to, I would definitely use the white whale. So I would say
Yeah, awesome.
superconductor, unobtainium, white whale, and time for delay. That's it.
I was going to say we had to get to the time because that's such a cool sounding delay pedal to me. I remember when that came out, you said it was sort of based on the old MXR rack delay that David Gilmour used, right? Which just makes me curious. You're obviously a massive Floyd fan, right? What are your go-to guitars? We talked about your amps, but your sort of go-to guitars. I've just always imagined you as being a bit of a Strat guy.
You are correct, but to be honest,
Yes.
and I always thought that would never change. I mean, uh, I don't have a huge collection of guitars. I mean, it's like 15 or 20 guitars total. So I try to have like a Strat, a couple of Strats, Tele, Les Paul, SG. I mean, all the standard guitars that you would expect to try. So in order to make sure that your pedals, my pedals will work great with as many guitars as possible, as many amps as possible,
Makes
blah,
sense.
blah, blah. So yeah. So the first guitar that I would pick and choose to try with the pedals would be an Eric Clapton signature Strat from early zeros, if
Cool.
I'm not mistaken. But
Yep.
that has I have changed the pickups to a custom 54 set, if I'm not mistaken, Fender custom 54 set.
Nice.
Uh, that would be my go-to guitar. But that changed like 1 year ago. I mean, that Strat is still my go-to, but has a rival. I got a used PRS custom 24 S2
Ooh, nice.
that I really loved. And I mean, I'm like, okay, which one? Which one? So most of the
Yep.
time nowadays it would be the PRS, but I still, I mean, I've designed most of the pedals. I mean, for the past decade or so, I've designed them with the Strat first and then tried all the other guitars in order to make sure
That's
that they work
interesting.
great. So I always have the Strat reference in my head. And I mean, you can hear, I mean, I tend to do that when I know that someone is designing for a company, that there's only one guy or one or two guys designing. I know that the pedals coming out have a specific sound. I mean, I have a specific way that I like treble or bass, and I think that you can find it in most of the pedals coming out of Crazy Tube. So the roll off that they might have in high frequencies is specific, and they are tuned to the sound that I have in my head. Someone might like it, someone might not, but most of the pedals coming out of Crazy Tubes have that specific sound. I mean, especially for the drives.
Yeah. So the most recent pedal you've done, the Triptychon, I sort of noticed that where I've been fortunate enough to play a lot of the stuff that you make. So now I sort of know, like, I think I grab a Strat first, and it's such an interesting design where you have again, if we're talking about 14-year-old Leon, he doesn't know that like a fuzz should probably go into like a driven amp if he wants it to sound like, the 70s. So having this sort of preamp section in there, I think when I first tried that, I just didn't turn anything else on for about 20 minutes because I was just like, oh, this like one knob is just the perfect overdrive with this Strat neck pickup, clean amp. You just get that, and you've got all this sort of stuff going on there. I personally really like the way you voice it. But tell me about that's a 3-in-1 with 2 foot switches. How long did it take to come up with, especially like the foot switching logic in there? Because I find it works really, really nicely. Where being able to this was a thing for me when I started out and I had more than 2 pedals. I was like, oh, I wish I had a box that I could connect so I could, because I always turn on like a compressor and an overdrive, but I needed a loop switcher, whereas that sort of seems like you've thought of that in advance. I mean, how long did that pedal take to develop? And tell me a little bit about that because the most recent one.
Okay, so the Triptychon philosophy is based in a way to the philosophy of the Sidekick Jr. So you have three effects, but only 2 foot switches because you try to fit that in a small pedal. So you have to make it work. And I mean, the idea is to find, for example, Triptychon has four effects. So the idea is to find
Yeah,
the
actually, yeah.
ones that are most important, and you would like to have them foot switched easily, and the ones that accompany the main sounds. Uh, so when I had the idea of Triptychon, I tried to think what would be the one that would help the fuzz, which is the primary voice of the pedal, sound better if you want to use it. So, like you said, that I believe the toughest thing besides fitting that in a small pedal was to find which one will be to the external foot switch and which ones would be
Yeah.
at the onboard foot switches. And then I said, okay, the idea is to use an amp that it's already overdriven, and its voice to be as neutral as possible. I mean, the drive section, so it will fit to any amp that you're gonna use after that. But similar to the way that they were used in the past, I mean, 60s, 70s, there were no actual clean amps, especially in a live setting, because the PAs they couldn't handle the volume, so you have to max out your amp. So if even if it was a Fender, it would be overdriven. If it was clean as possible, if it had lots of headroom, it would be overdriven. So the idea was to give an overdriven and slightly compressed sound. So you had to assign that sound to either the treble booster or the octave fuzz or the fuzz face or tone bender sounds.
Yeah, it's awesome. I did a video recently. I think the nice thing about that as well is because it's so compact. There's a lot of people now, obviously, like myself, we use digital rigs when we play live, but the one thing a digital rig can never do is simulate like impedance mismatch on a fuzz, right? It's just physics, unfortunately. So I see that discussion a lot where people say like, oh, but how can I do this? It's like, man, just spend a few $100 and get a really good fuzz and put it on there. So yeah, that's something I've been playing around with as well, and I use that because also I'm like, well, I've also got a really great Octavia sound in there, which I really like. I like the idea of having. I kind of like. I think if I use a fuzz, I want it to be really gross and not like I want to hear the effect. It's not going to be on all the time, but when it's on, it has to make people go, oh, well, this is kind of weird. So I think that's an underrated element with some of these designs where having the options, again, as a value add is great, but it fixes for some people an issue, which is because of the rigs they're playing, whether they choose to or whether they can't play their big rigs, you still get the magic of that like old school guitar pedal amp interaction, which is a physical impossibility sometimes. So with that, I won't hold you too much longer, but what are you excited about coming up? If you can't disclose any details on pedals and new designs you're working on, because I mean, just personally speaking, what I think would be an awesome, I grew up loving 80s music and all those kind of rack effects and things like that. So if you're ever going to do a 2-in-1 rack style thing, that would be super cool. But that's just me, I'd probably be able to help you sell 2 of them, one of them to myself, and one as a backup. So yeah, what are you excited about that you're working on?
I'm an 80s kid myself as well, so I can only tell you that more 80s things are coming in a way. It could not be
Yeah,
right
awesome.
away, but it could be at some point, like a year, I don't know. Uh, I can say this because we've teased like a month ago on the Superbooth Berlin. There is a junior version of the White Whale coming. It's real spring, so it's exactly the same spring assembly as the White Whale V2, only in smaller size. The river sound is still there. I mean, it's still as last.
Awesome.
It's all analog, and you have the tremolo, and I think it sounds great. I mean, it's always the new kid that you love, and I mean, it is the new kid coming, but I think it sounds great, and I'm really proud of it. I mean, Whitewell is a personal tone pursuit and dream in order to fit an actual spring reverb and tremolo in the smallest possible enclosure. So making it even smaller is like I'm really happy and proud of.
For someone like me who sort of grew up playing loud Marshalls, and if they had reverb, I'd always turn the built-in reverb down. It wasn't until I sort of heard like a proper, Fender tube reverb where you go, oh, that's just, this is, I know there's people who'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, that's the sound of electric guitar, but it's such a beautiful combination. So yeah, that's exciting. I think lots of people are going to like that one. It's just, some sounds never get old, man.
I like I said, I love it. It's my new kids, but I love it. I mean, I really love the way real spring reverb sounds. I mean, there are so many digital reverbs that can do great spring, but it's never 100% as good as the real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's like you said with the fuzz, with the impedance mismatch and something like that. There's some magic going on in the springs rattling inside the assembly. I mean, there's no way you can make that happen with digital.
I think it's a bit like rotary sounds as well, right? Where because it's such a physical phenomena, even if you
Exactly.
record a rotary speaker with microphones, it sounds great, but it's just not. You simply can't recreate sometimes the last couple of percent, and I think sometimes it's it's a bit like the AI thing, right? Where you can use it to generate images, but there's always, this non-artificial intelligence that we have. It's like very good at like when something's way off, we might not notice it. Well, it's like a cartoon, you watch a cartoon of something, you're like, oh, cool. I forget I'm watching a cartoon because I'm engaged with the ideas or whatever's happening. But it's that, what do they call it? The uncanny valley sometimes, where it's close, but it's just a little bit off where you're like, it doesn't sound right. I think, yeah,
Yeah,
digital
there's
fuzz,
something
when
missing.
you
Yeah.
clean it up, yeah, physical spring reverb, like a rotary. There's not many, which to be fair is amazing that, we've been able to do so many of these things. And obviously, standing in front of a cranked up Marshall cab is a visceral experience. But yeah, those kind of sounds. So I think it's lovely having, as you said, those options where, and I say this to a lot of people, it's like, you say I'm doing I'm using the fractal stuff, and they're like, oh, but why would I do this when I've already got a couple of pedals and an amp? It's like, well, you don't have to. Like, you actually don't have to choose either way now. Or, oh, I've got something that does it all. Why would I get a spring reverb pedal? It's like, well, maybe it doesn't matter most of the time, but if you love it, then it probably will.
I mean, it's not that I don't like digital stuff, and I totally understand for someone that does a lot of shows, if he would choose a modeler or something, Kemper or XFX or anything like that, it will sound great and perform really nice. Uh, but I do understand the difference that you and the feel that you get when cranking a Marshall and a 4x12 cabinet and actually listening and feeling that to your hands and your guitar vibing all the way. And the difference with using digital stuff. I mean, everything has its use. And I'm not the guy that would say, oh, no, don't use modelers, don't use Kemper, nothing like it. I mean, uh, I love some digital stuff. I really love them and have helped me as well. But I can only imagine being a touring musician and having to travel with loads of gear rather than bring a small suitcase with a modeler and just your guitar and solving all your problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it's really easy to add a fuzz pedal to your rig. More people should. I think the hybrid rig is probably the best of both worlds, where you don't, you choose, if you're a fuzz guy, you choose your favorite fuzz and you put it on there, or and other way around as well. Sometimes it's cool, if you've got a really nice old Marshall, you just put like I don't know, pedal like the Sidekick. My friend Troy, I was talking about before, he does a gig where he plays on top of the big sports arena here for one of the sports teams for 90 seconds. And I know
Okay.
he was using like a Friedman preamp pedal with the Sidekick in the loop, but it was just always on for delay and reverb. It's like, you just need a rock guitar sound. It's like, okay, well, this sounds pretty good always on. It's compact. It's got chorus in there as well. It's yeah, I really like that. Anyway, I won't hold you too much
Nice.
longer, mate. Thank you so much for your time. It's one just
It
been
was
great to
my
chat, but
pleasure.
two also, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure the people who follow my channel see a lot more of your stuff on here. And yeah, is there anything else you want to add? Where should people look out for the? You sort of mentioned there's new fun things coming very soon, right?
Oh, yes, I mean, besides the Whitewell Jr., I can only promise that I would like to justify a bit more the brand name. So I can say that there are more tube stuff coming in a way.
Yeah, cool.
So I said
That's
I
very
love tubes.
exciting.
I mean, this is how it all started. So I can only say that I would also spend a bit more time bringing more actual tube pedals out there. I mean, like the Venus and many more designs like that. And
Yep.
I have the
Yeah.
feel that you're gonna like them. I really hope, to be honest.
Well, I think the Venus was another thing where, well, just one last anecdote. I remember the first time I played a tube driver. I was disappointed that I didn't immediately sound like Eric Johnson, and that was a me problem. But the boost circuit in the Venus, it's just like soon as you have that in there, you're like, that's what everybody was doing with these pedals. They were good, but it wasn't until you had the sort of boost element in there that it just made it come alive. So that's exciting, man. I mean, you're living up to the name, Crazy Tube Circuit. So thank you for your time, and
Thank you so
hopefully we'll
much.
chat again really soon. I appreciate it, man.
Have a beautiful day. Cheers from Athens.